The message for today, brothers and sisters, is entitled The King Alfred Plan. The extermination of blacks in America. One of the things that you should understand, brothers and sisters, before going any further is I want you to, prepare your psyche. Now, this message is not a spiritual one. This message is not a churchianity kind of thing. This message today is to let you know what's going on in our socio-political environment. Does everybody understand me? So kind of gear your head up for that, all right? And understand that I'm going to share some information with you in this message that's very disturbing. I'm telling you now. It's not meant to depress you. It's meant to make you aware. It's not meant to make you walk out of here feeling like there's no hope. It's meant to make you walk out of here saying, I got to get busy and informing my brothers and sisters what's really going on, so that we can prepare ourselves for what is coming.
Well, it's a bill that has received very little attention but may make free speech a felony and seriously restrict your right to political protest. Just signed into law by the president, H.R. 347 gives federal agents sweeping powers to arrest and bring felony charges against citizens engaged in protests where the Secret Service is present. Joining us now with more, Fox News senior judicial analyst, good friend, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, the thing that jumps out off the page, felony?
Yeah, felony means more than a year in jail. This is not like a traffic ticket. For standing and protesting, the type of thing that for 230 years Americans took for granted because it was protected by the First Amendment, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, has actually been abridged by legislation the president signed last Thursday, supported overwhelmingly by both parties, with very, very little public debate and very little debate in Congress. Basically allows Secret Service agents to decide where there are no free speech zones, not speech zones, no free speech zones. And anybody by the Secret Service can, protected by the Secret Service, can ask those agents to ban protests wherever they are.
I want to move on to another subject. What do you make of the picture, and we'll put it up on the screen, that the White House released Saturday of President Obama skeet shooting at Camp David? He says he respects hunting.
Well, I make the same thing during the campaign when he said to people, I will not take away your rifle, shotgun, handgun. They leafleted the country with flyers like this: Obama is not going to take your gun. Obama will protect gun rights. And now he's trying to take away all three. I mean,
he's not taking away shotguns.
Have you looked at the Feinstein bill that he's supporting? That's exactly what it does. I mean, I think what they'll do is they'll turn this universal check on the law-abiding into a universal registry of law-abiding people, and law-abiding people don't want that.
Well, yesterday, President Barack Obama signed the 2013 National Defense Authorization Act, despite threats that he might veto the bill. He then released a statement saying, in part, that he's approved the annual defense authorization legislation as he's done in previous years because it authorizes essential support for service members and their families. It renews vital national security programs and helps ensure that the United States will continue to have the strongest military in the world. Now, the president went on to say he signed the law because he supports the majority of the provisions, but he does not agree with all of them, and then named several of those that he disagreed with. Section 533, for example, because he says the military already protects the freedom of conscience. And others like sections 1027 and 1028 because they limit the powers of the executive branch. He didn't mention anything about section 1021, one of the most controversial aspects of the NDAA. The 2012 version of the bill gave the military the power to arrest and hold people, including Americans, without charge and without the writ of habeas corpus. Now, California Senator Dianne Feinstein had introduced an amendment in December that would have forbidden indefinite detention of Americans, and it passed in the Senate, but it was later stripped from the final version of the bill. The executive director of the ACLU responded to all of this by saying this was a major fail on the part of the Obama administration, adding, quote, his signature means indefinite detention without charge or trial, as well as illegal military commissions, will be extended. He also has jeopardized his ability to close Guantanamo Bay during his presidency. Scores of men who have already been held for nearly 11 years without being charged with a crime, including more than 80 who have been cleared for transfer, may very well be imprisoned unfairly for yet another year. The president should use whatever discretion he has in the law to order many of the detainees transferred home and finally step up next year to close Guantanamo and bring a definite end to indefinite detention. That end doesn't appear to be anytime soon.
But for probable cause purposes, that's a pretty easy task.
And Tim, is there any way, now I guess it was a voicemail, they could try to get the phone companies to give that up at this point, but if it's not a voicemail, it's just a conversation. There's no way they actually can find out what happened, right? Unless she tells them.
No, there is a way. We certainly have ways in national security investigations to find out exactly what was said in that conversation. It's not necessarily something that the FBI is going to want to present in court, but it may help lead the investigation and or lead to questioning of her.
So somewhere it's being digitized, or they can actually get that. Because people were saying, look, that wouldn't be possible. It's pretty incredible what you're saying.
No, welcome to America. All of that stuff is being captured as we speak, whether we know it or like it or not.
Note to self, as Doug Farrick just said here, yeah. All right, thanks very much to both of you. Obviously, that right there, a very significant thing, because people have been saying, well, there's a conversation. If it wasn't a voicemail, they don't know. If they can find out, that could obviously become crucial. Still to come, more break.
The FEMA plans to imprison American citizens have generated a lot of interest around the country in locating the potential prison camps throughout the country. These may be facilities currently being used as prisons, such as those you saw earlier, or prisons that are being built supposedly in the name of the war on drugs, or facilities that have other uses but which could be quickly used to detain large numbers of people, such as this Amtrak facility in Beech Grove, Indiana.
The president wants to relax me with his statement that the age says.
Thank you.
Well, we've seen our police militarized. We've seen our military being used as police. Now, in a breaking story from Paul Joseph Watson on InfoWars, we see that the Russian forces are going to provide security at U.S. events. In the article on InfoWars, it says, as part of the deal signed last week in Washington, D.C. between the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry and FEMA, Russian officials will provide security at mass events in the United States, a scenario that won't sit well with Americans who are wary of foreign assets operating on U.S. soil. It'll be a lot easier for our government to collect guns and confiscate guns and shoot on Americans if they're not using American soldiers, if they're using Russian soldiers. Now, this all came from a Russian publication that's referenced in the article, so you can read it for yourself. We're not making this up.
Russian soldiers will be put on U.S. soil by Obama to provide security at U.S. events. That's right, you heard me correctly. As part of a deal signed last week in Washington, D.C. between the Ruskies and FEMA. You know who FEMA is, don't you? The people with the camps ready for you.
I have this map that shows how the U.S. would be divided in the event of an emergency, if we can pull that up there. There it is. So this is how the U.S. will be divided into districts. You see 10 of them there. This is according to the National Emergency Center establishment.
It gives FEMA and the Department of Homeland Security jurisdiction over what goes on in these places during a time of emergency.
That kind of ammo that they purchased from ATK, hollow point ammunition, as you had explained, it's designed to, tear through human flesh and then expand. It's designed to kill people. DHS for even more ammunition for 175 million rounds of .223 caliber rifle ammo. It's almost identical to the ammunition used by NATO peacekeeping forces So that's very interesting. Are they planning on some kind of widespread economic unrest in the U.S. that would require NATO forces to help us out?
Pretty impressive, a display of international military might. Thousands of men and women from several different countries all landed on Camp Pendleton's beaches today. It's all part of a multinational exercise called Dawn Blitz.
New at 5, 10 News reporter Joe Little was on the beach during that exercise and reveals why training alongside other countries has become part of the U.S. military's way of life.
And I've asked him numerous times to please exit the area for his safety, and he's refusing to do so.
I'm breaking no laws.
All right, you just go ahead to go.
I'm breaking no laws.
I'm trespassing at this time. Yes,
I am not. This is public-owned property,
Sir.
And I am not trespassing.
Sir, look, I'm asking you to leave.
All right, and what law am I violating by standing here?
Trespassing.
This is public property.
This is city property.
This is city property owned by the public, and I'm breaking no laws.
All right, well, now, I'm telling you to leave.
Why is that?
I'm telling you to leave.
And give me a reason for that.
1305, 1305, 25 down here in front of the road.
Give me a reason that you're asking.
Hey, wait. Now you are. All right.
Really?
Yep.
Seriously? I'm breaking no laws. You asked me what? To leave public property?
This place has been permitted out for our use as long as it's
not private. You did not take my property. Hey, thank you for serving.
Back up! I told you once. I'm not going to tell you again.
The Patriot Act, Homeland Security, the Military Tribunals Act, and other legislations are all completely and entirely designed to destroy your civil liberties and limit your ability to fight back against what is coming.